So I think the first semester I mainly took things that I was interested in, and I took like a bunch of really different classes. Because at a liberal arts college, you don't really have to just study what's in your major. You can pretty much take whatever you want. So I experimented a lot, and I spoke to different professors in different departments, even when I wasn't taking classes with them, just so that I can have an idea of what the departments offer. And there are a lot of in terms of co-curriculars and organizations on campus. I would attend every org fair that would be there. Every org would have their meet and greet. I would just land up, even in orgs that I didn't know that much about. I went to, for example, the Korean Society's mixer. I didn't even know anything about it, but I would just land up, and it was nice to sort of see things that I didn't know that I would get an interest in, and I did those things. And in terms of academics, I think talking to professors really helps, and attending all the introductions to our majors talks also helps. And just mixing and matching a lot of classes exposed me to a lot of different subjects that I didn't think I was interested in. I wasn't going to do math or econ when I went into Smith. I was pretty clear that I'll do physics. But I took those classes and I spoke to those professors and I thought it was really interesting. So I switched.
Fantastic. So I think that's the question I actually had set for next was, how is it like to do an econ major? What are the requirements? And in particularly in your case, what have you discovered as the focus that you'd want to move towards? And then why add a math major to the mix?
So for econ, obviously there are certain core things that everyone studies, like macro, micro, all of those basic principles. But other than that, I've taken a behavioral economics class at Smith, which I found to be very interesting. It's a very like upcoming field. It's kind of like it merges a little bit of psychology with econ, and it talks about why consumers make the decisions that they make, which I thought was really interesting. And another area of econ that has is very popular at Smith in particular also is just inequality and policy alternatives, and talking about how we can create policies that are more equal environmentally, or just can bring about social change. So I think all of that has been something that I'm very interested in as well. Why I chose to mix math with this was because a lot of econ is needs to be backed by sort of quantitative concepts, and a lot of econ is about stats. So anytime you're writing a research paper, anytime you're reading a research paper, it'll have a very strong statistical component to it. And to be able to understand those things and sort of back up your theories, it's very good to have this sort of quantitative basis to actually test in the economy what you feel is a valid theory.
So it definitely seems that you've got a path sorted out in some sense. You use data science as a tool to understand economics. And what are the kind of projects you worked on or are currently working on? What is it in the world that, of course, the economy is in shambles in this era, but what is it that gets you thinking of applying what you've learned currently?
So we did a few studies where I wasn't directly a part of them, but I knew the people who were doing them, and they were like asking for help as well. Where we spoke about how different how if things like how gender works out in society, in the economy, and it was about how the economy would be sort of different if there were more women CEOs, for example. And I think that applying that in a country like India, I knew some of my friends who were seniors who tried to do that. Applying that model in India, we actually had like pretty interesting results about how, and again, this brings in a little bit of behavioral economics also, about how fundamentally like women make different decisions, and that would have different implications for the economy. So that was one thing that I was indirectly a part of that I was really interested in, because I thought that given Indian society, it had very interesting applications.
Great. So touching upon this further a little bit, women in leadership, all women's college, which is also welcoming in the sense it's been labeled as a single gender sort of orientation, but there's lots more to that meaning. What is it that you understand of being a Smithy?
I think that initially when I had gone into Smith, I hadn't even thought about the fact that it's an all-women's college. It was just a good school, which is why I had applied. But now I'm so thankful that it is the way that it is, because I think that I have met so many different women from so many different parts of the world who have really gone through such, like, they just have the most exceptional stories, and they've gone through such adversities to be where they are today. And I think that at a women's college, I personally feel that you do tend to speak up more, and you do tend to, like, people listen more, you learn a lot more, because you know that it's a space where you're not going to be judged as much, and you know it's a space where people are always going to look out for you. And I think that that has really shaped me into who I am today. I, coming from, as I said, like India, and even at a school like Shriram, it's so radically different to the kind of the space and the vibe and the environment that there is there. And people are always like having healthy debates, and they're always asking questions, and they're always sharing experiences. And I think that that makes a lot of difference in your confidence and how self-assured you are, and how just how broad your outlook is in general. And I think everybody over there is very liberal, and they talk about what's going on in the world today, what it means for us as women. And I've learned so much about, for example, the LGBTQ community that I didn't know about. I learned so much about my own rights as a woman. And I think that it really made me into not just a more confident person, but a more confident woman.
Wonderful. If you could elaborate more on the ethos of making students at Smith strong as human beings, and being able to provide, and as an institution being able to provide resources, what is it that you think they do well?
I think that there is a lot of participation of the staff and the faculty in what the students are doing. And I think that genuinely makes you feel that the people at the college are interested in what you're doing. So, for example, like all of the orgs, professors, or people who are working, like the staff at Smith, will actually come and attend those meetings. They'll come and attend those events that you host, which is great. Like our college president comes and attends almost all of the cultural events that are, for example, my org, which is the South Asian org, hosts. So it's great to see faculty turning up. People in the city of Northampton are also very supportive. They always come and like attend our events and attend our talks. When we have seniors presenting their thesis, you'll have people from Northampton coming and listening to that as well. So I think that the first thing that Smith does really well is really integrate the staff and faculty with the student orgs and what the students are doing in general. It's really easy to start things at Smith, which also helps if you have an organized, like if there is an organization that you feel very strongly about, it doesn't exist. For example, let's say I want to start a table tennis group, something like that. I could literally just like get two, three people, sign it, start it, and it will be an org the next day. And Smith will advertise it for me. They'll give me the resources that I need to sort of contact, for example, the other five colleges in the consortium and get more people to participate. So I think it's easy to start things that haven't been started, and people are really accepting and welcoming of that. And then there are a lot of fairs that happen, a lot of occasions where you can sort of see what all is happening on campus. We do a very good job of advertising it. We have newsletters. Every house would have its own newsletter. Every org has its own newsletter. And it's just a lot of advertising. So at no point are you like, oh no, I didn't even know that this was happening on campus. Because they do a very good job of telling you exactly what all is happening. And if what you want isn't happening, then it's very easy to just start off.
Fantastic. Definitely interesting. So you mentioned about the South Asian Students Organization. What is it that got you excited to do something about it? What is your current role? And what are the other activities that you are currently part of or were part of?
Mm-hmm. So South Asian org, initially it was already an existing org on campus, and I think in the beginning why I joined it was because I wanted like a certain like connection to my home and to my culture, and just a place where I felt more like home. And I have been the publicity chair, the conference chair. We keep changing roles, but everyone pretty much just does everything. And so I was publicity chair, social chair, conference chair. And what we do is we have obviously the cultural events that every org does. We do a lot of fundraisers. We do a lot of we try to find funding for conferences that happen in the area. So when we have like the India Harvard conference, or we have the Soch conference that happens in Colombia, we try to arrange funding for it, try to get as many people as we can to go to it for free. We have discussions in our houses. with faculty members. We have movie screenings. We call ex-Smithies or Smithies from the five college or other people from the five colleges to come and talk about important global issues that affect the South Asian community. We did this really interesting thing about anti-blackness in South Asia, which was very interesting. We had one professor from every one of the five colleges talk about how anti-blackness, the history of anti-blackness in South Asia. And I think given the current situations, having conversations like these is all the more important, and having them in like a safe space, like, Unity org or a cultural org just makes it easier for you to voice yourself without feeling like, you're going to get judged for it.